had already seen results. Needless to say, with 3 daughters in my house.
So I always want people, don't look at me as a woman of color. Just look at me as a woman.
International Women's Day special. We also have Anjana Kochar.
And you have high quality of life. That's the goal.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this International Women's Day special. International Women's Day is a major day of global celebration for the economic, political, and social achievements of women in the past, present, and future. It is also an opportunity to celebrate these achievements of women, and what better way to do it than bringing in our successful women in our local community. I am very privileged and honored to be interviewing these wonderful women tonight, but before we get started, I'd like to give you a quick overview on International Women's Day. The earliest Women's Day observances occurred in different dates. In 1908, 15,000 women marched the streets of New York demanding better pay, shorter hours, and the right to vote. In 1909, the first National Women's Day observances occurred all over the United States. In 1910, Clara Zetkin was first tabled the idea of International Women's Day. Over the next several years, many countries over the world decided to celebrate Women's Day. But finally, in 1975, the United Nations sanctioned International Women's Day to be celebrated on the 8th of March, making the women of the past proud, making the women of the present inspired, and making the women of the future envisioned, as well as highlighting the future achievements and struggles that women still face today. But it's still no secret that women still struggle with past issues and struggles for today. Women today are contributing as elected and appointed heads of states, leading in government, corporations, and many found leadership roles in many professions. But we've come a very long way, and tonight we have a very special International Women's Day special with you by bringing in successful women. And I'd like to start off the program by welcoming Bonnie Crombie and Carolyn Babinski right here in our program. Bonnie Crombie is a long-time Mississauga resident and has been a strong advocate for Mississauga and its residents. She has a lengthy history of community leadership and volunteer service, having sat on various boards, charitable and not-for-profits. She is currently City of Mississauga's Ward 5 councillor and has served as a Member of Parliament for Mississauga-Streetsville, where she was recognized for her strong leadership abilities. Bonnie was intently focused on ensuring that the government played a positive role by improving the lives of families and supporting our community. We also have Carolyn Babinski. It was that time she was introduced to Arbonne International. She fell in love with the products, the results, and the fact that their products are pure, safe, and beneficial. She saw the opportunity to not only introduce people to the products, but also show them on how to benefit their family as well. She says that we all need more time, and most of us to stay at home and make the best income. Who does T-Shop online these days? Well, she is going to tell us today and teach you on how that's done. So I want to thank you both for being here tonight on this very special International Women's Day show. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us, Barbara. So nice to see you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You're welcome. So, I first actually want to start off, before you, entered your careers, as business and political leaders, what really inspired you to kind of enter this sort of circle of even the business world?
Well, I guess I was always driven to serve the community in any way I could. I always found a way to contribute. So first I worked in business, started in advertising, worked for companies like McDonald's Corporation and the Walt Disney Company. And those are two strong corporations that really believe in giving back to the community. So even as a child, I learned about giving back to the community. And then I worked for those companies that have that same work ethic. So I think that started me. And then I had a degree in political science and loved to get involved in politics. And that was the way I found to give back to the community. And as you mentioned, I'd worked for these companies and also was a founder of a company called Cargo Cosmetics, which I thought I'd throw on you. Surprise on you, Carolyn.
And that's wonderful.
So that was a great leadership experience as well. And I'll follow up afterwards, Carolyn.
Yes. So, what inspired you to enter the business world, Carolyn?
Well, I guess I've always been surrounded by the entrepreneur spirit. My father certainly was, and then my husband. My role mainly for quite a few years, fortunately, I got to be a stay-at-home mom, and I loved it. I had 3 daughters, and I loved every moment of it. But having said that, we always had home-based businesses, so I was not sitting around eating bonbons. I was very involved in the family business, but nothing specifically my own. Well, then all of a sudden, very quickly, it seemed to me, my 3 daughters were married and off, and boy, it got really quiet.
Yes.
Took a look at my husband, and I'm like, you know what? I need to find something to do that's mine, that I can attach myself to. And with not really having a lot of experience, a lot of skill in the business world, a company like Arbonne is the perfect fit for me, because really anyone can build a business if they want to.
Right.
We coach, we train, we educate, and that's what I enjoy about it. And the first time I walked into a room full of Arbonne women when they first launched in Canada, I just said to myself, this is for me, because I'd already fallen in love with the products, had already seen results. Needless to say, with 3 daughters in my house, we spent a fair amount of money on
Exactly.
on cosmetics, makeup.
But don't you think as well that that's something that women are looking for in particular? They opt out of the executive suites for flexibility. They become entrepreneurs. Because we all know that we do share the lion's share of the domestic responsibilities, scheduling the children, and then of course we're the sandwich generation. We have our parents to look after as well. So you see more women, a big part, entering in universities, but then when they go into the corporate world, they step back. They step back and they look for roles like you had as entrepreneurs and as I had, which allowed me to serve the community and you to work from your home business, I think.
So being these women that really wanted to take charge of your life, but while making that balance of, that work-life stress because of the families that ended up being involved, what obstacles did you feel that you faced, actually before making that initial, I'm going to be a woman in charge? What were those obstacles?
Well, let me talk about those theoretically and then practically. So as I mentioned, I went to university, I had great jobs as an executive, and then I had 3 children as well. And had to step back a little bit and took my time and did some consulting work. So as I mentioned, I think women face a more difficult path because we do have the lion's share of the domestic responsibilities and the children as well. And now we have our parents. But women are different. They have to take a different approach to business. And there is a different approach to bonding and networking that goes on. And then there's also what I like to call the imposter complex. Women don't feel worthy. I never felt worthy for that next job. I was always working harder to prove myself. I was always living in the shadow of great women like my mother and my grandmother, and my husband, who had a wonderful career. So I was always working harder to achieve that next step. And the other thing I wanted to share with you is that, women bond differently. We like to do the girl circles. The men, what do we do after work? We go home, we have to get our kids organized for dinner, make sure the homework's done, and then we go back to work, right? What do the guys do? They bond after work, don't they? They go to they might go have a beer together, they might go to a sporting event. They go to sporting events on weekends and they play golf together, and we're at home. So I always tell women, you be sure you go to sports events and be sure to learn how to play golf. Because those are 2 networking opportunities. I know John Tory got in trouble for that.
So Carolyn, have you been able to get some golfing lessons or at least be more involved?
I tried.
How did that feel for you?
I tried, but I don't think golf is my
I picked up golf.
forte. I think they'd probably throw me off, but anyway. But I will tell you what I have taken up recently that I'm really enjoying.
Yes.
Belly dancing.
Oh, wow!
Because I hate gyms. I would never buy a gym membership because I would never go, but I do know I do need to get that exercise thing going on a little more. And so I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and the women there are fabulous. And it's, in fact, I'm going tonight, so there you go.
And maybe you'll come back again and you're going to show us some belly dancing moves, right?
Oh boy.
But I think that's really important for mental health. Physical fitness is important for mental health as well. I'm very athletic. I play tennis, I ski, and now I've started to run. So, and I know Barbara wherever you
Yes.
run.
Yep.
And so I've even signed up for the Mississauga
Saga
Marathon.
as well as I, so I look forward to running
These
with
are these
you in the
competitive women, right?
Right?
These A-type women have to do everything.
So Bonnie, another question I had to ask you, making that shift from, the business world, this corporate world, and now into politics as, you are, Mississauga's Ward 5 amazing counselor.
Thank you so much.
Did you find any difficulties in making that switch?
Well, they're very similar. It takes a certain kind of individual to be an executive, kind of very competitive nature, A-type, as well as political. But I had that calling that I love to serve the community. I mean, I'll share with you a little story. My kids love to call me Mrs. Badinsky. We are Polish, because I've never met a problem I didn't want to fix, right?
Yes.
No matter whose problem it was. And whether it was the culture growing up at home, giving back to the community, or those corporations that I work for that believe very much in giving back to the community. So as an executive, I always dabbled in politics. So I met my husband at we were very involved in student politics. We met at a convention at a young age. We married. We had an arranged marriage. I arranged it. We've been married for 30 years.
Carol, would that be the same for you?
Exactly.
Right? And so, I after my career, I took a little step back and did some consulting work because it was just more flexible for me to contribute to the community. I did fundraising, sat on boards, did a bit of consulting work, raised my kids, and then I got really involved in the community. And then suddenly people were asking me to put my name forward for politics because we were always involved.
Yes.
We always helped out on campaigns.
Right. And Carolyn, so, being a business executive, have you ever felt that, there were those pressures about actually balancing the work-life stress as well as your work? Do you work actually from home right now?
It is a home-based business.
Okay.
And but most of my time would be spent actually sitting down with men and women.
Yes.
Men love facials as well. Actually physically putting the products on their face, meeting with them, or I do business chats. We have a lot of people who are interested in just hearing about the business. The product is connected to it. And what I really enjoy about what's going on now are there's so many networking events going on, and women are so great at networking. So I can, any night of the week, or any afternoon, any morning, I can be at a networking event surrounded by fabulous women who have so much to share, and I've learned so much from them, as well as the women in my company who came before me. Basically, I just followed their footsteps.
Yes.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I love it.
This product sounds fabulous.
I know
too.
it does. I wish you brought some on so we can
I
try
know.
it, right?
Maybe a little facial later.
Yeah. So I want to know, being in the professionals, being the profession that you have been in, what have you kind of learned about yourself that you can actually advise women today for the next generation that they can take from this?
That's a really good question. I'll tell you something I learned about women and inspiring women. When I was a member of Parliament, we had an International Women's Day, and I had female students from 5 high schools come together, and I asked them who was their role model and who inspired them. And do you know what I learned? Yes, you got the odd supermodel, but the one that had a foundation helping charities in Africa. 80% of those girls picked the same person, one person, and it wasn't Mother Teresa.
Yes.
You know who it was? Their mothers. Their mothers.
Yeah.
So the mothers have that role in inspiring
Yes,
their
that's
daughters
wonderful.
and in building their confidence and helping them achieve their dreams and their goals.
Yes.
And so it's the mother's role,
Yeah.
I think, in life to inspire our daughters.
Yeah. And Carolyn, being a mother, what do you have to say about that?
I would never go back and exchange those years that I got to spend with my girls, and I really, really appreciate it. And now they, in turn, are basically following my role, which is the most flattering thing for a woman. Because you think, well, I didn't build this big, strong corporate career, and sometimes you think, wow. Where does that put me on the scale of 1 to 10? But you know what? When I see them wanting to be with their children and still run successful businesses, we all do the same thing. It really warms my heart because, not that I'm trying to be arrogant, but it gives me the feeling that what I did was right for us as a family. And now, like I said, it's my turn. I don't have children at home. I don't have restrictions. My husband's very flexible. He works out of town a lot. So basically, when I schedule my business, I'm out there. And I'm running into fabulous women, and I can teach them to do the same thing.
Right.
So basically, just step up to the plate. Don't be afraid.
Yes.
Because I was a chicken. I'll tell you.
Yes, but until you start making that first walk, that opportunity, seizing the day.
Self-development is very important in our
Right.
business, in our life, and now there's so much out there. We read so many good books. We go to so many good conferences. There's so many calls. There's so many people offering us exactly what we need. Find what you need, dig into it, and you know what? Just get out your door and go do what you want to do.
I agree.
Exactly. That's wonderful. One more quick question. How do you think would be best for women to actually support each other? You know, I find that, you know, over time, you know, making that initial step before you actually start networking, you know, there is some women that are very shy from, you know, actually asking women for help and really
Right.
taking that initiative to really network. So, you know, quickly, how do you think women can really best support each other? What is that type of capacity?
Mentoring.
Yes.
Mentoring. So for someone like myself or yourself,
Yes.
Carolyn, to take on
Yes.
young women who have a lot of potential, have a lot of energy, you know, and guiding them, help them guide their careers, asking them how you can help them become successful.
Right.
I think that's the best way we can help, helping other younger women become successful, become who they were meant to be, become who they want to be.
That's wonderful. Carolyn, any last words?
Yes, we're big into the mentoring. Go out and find your mentors. Attach yourself to them, and don't be afraid to ask. Why are we so afraid to ask?
Yes. And we shouldn't be
It's
afraid,
a,
right?
It's a three-letter word. Just use it. Just ask, and you will be surprised at how many people will help you.
Exactly. And thank you so much. So really, unfortunately, we do have to end this segment. So thank you so much for sharing your stories and sharing some great advice that women for the next generation can really take on. And so before you guys leave, actually each of you will be taking home a basket.
Oh my God!
I know, it's a
Why?
wonderful huge basket. So this is a
Thank
gift
you.
basket that is
Wow.
from TV1.
Oh my goodness.
And Crispy. And Crispy says just baked. And so thank you for taking the time to be here today. And for the audience that's there, thank you so much for tuning in. And we still have more women and stories to share with you. So stay tuned right after the break.
Had already seen results. Needless
Right.
to say, with 3 daughters in my house.
So I always want people, don't look at me as a woman of courage. Look at me as a woman.
International Women's Day special. We also have Anjana Kochar.
And you have high quality of life. That's the goal.
Had already seen results. Needless
Right.
to say, with 3 daughters in my house.
So I always want people, don't look at me as a woman of courage. Look at me as a woman.
International Women's Day special. We also have Anjana Kochar.
And you have high quality of life. That's the goal.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for this International Women's Day special. I am your host, Barbara Hazel Tabuno, and I am now joined by Deepika Damrala and Salma Zaid. Deepika is the member of Provincial Parliament for Mississauga East Cooksville. Her interest in politics began as a career as a television reporter. As a reporter, she built a strong reputation for reporting on political and social issues. In addition to working in journalism, she has a strong background in business. She has an MBA from the Rotman School of Business from the University of Toronto. Her extensive community involvement includes founding the clothing drive Vastra Dawn, Karasaga, and hosting a classical music show on CIUT 89.5 FM. Deepika is guided by the ideal that in life it is not good enough to be good, you have to do good. Salma Zaid is seeking the federal Liberal nomination for Scarborough Centre. Salma and her husband Salman and their sons Umaid and Usman are proud longtime residents of Scarborough. Salma immigrated to Canada in the late 1990s and since then has worked tirelessly with numerous community organizations in Scarborough and Toronto. Salma is a passionate advocate for youth and women as demonstrated through her activities as the chair of the Regent Park Duke of York Public School Parent Council, her leadership in the development of Youth Reading Club and Skating Program, and her involvement with local food banks. Salma has deep roots for the Liberal Party and has dedicated countless hours to working on campaigns at both the provincial and federal levels. So thank you so much for being here. Very strong political backgrounds.
Thank you, Barbara, for having us. This is great.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So, I actually just want to know what inspired you to even enter this world of politics. It's a very, dog-eat-dog world, a lot of males that have dominated this sector. What really inspired you to be involved in this sort of sector?
Well, that's a great question, and I've always come at it a little differently. And my idea is that, one of the things, when you think of democracy, if you ask somebody, define democracy in a word, probably people would say the universal right to vote,
Yes.
right? So it's the right to vote, having that ability to vote. But there's a flip side, and that's the ability to run for office. Right? And so in many countries, there is democracy in the sense that everybody has the right to vote. But the right to run for public office is often restricted.
Yes.
By circumstance, by which community you belong to, how much money you have, regardless of what those obstacles are. But in my mind, for a truly functioning democracy, what good is the right to vote if I'm forced to vote for 2 or 3 elite people,
Exactly.
right? So that whole idea of the ability to run for office, how accessible is that? That's a very, very powerful thing for me when it comes to democracy. And what makes Canada special, and I think North America in general, is these are one of the few democracies that I know of where somebody like me, an average person, can run for public office because we have something called the nomination process.
Right.
Something that
Yeah.
Salma, you are
Salma?
taking
Which
part
I
in
am.
now.
Exactly.
So-
I've put my name in the
Yes.
head because that's all how I also feel that I think we need to provide opportunity to the grassroots people
Right.
so that
Yeah.
they can enter into politics.
So to finish my thought, in many ways, I think I was testing the robustness of the system. Like, is this ability to run for office really accessible to all Canadians? We have this nomination process. And so that was one of the motivating factors. And the other one is, I once read a line that said there's the politics of protest.
Yes.
And there's a place for it. And that is important so that you can highlight issues. And then there's the politics of engagement, which is instead of always complaining, why don't you get a seat at the table where decisions are made and try and influence change? So these were 2 twin parallel tracks that I think really, really motivated me. And of course, role models. You look at other women around you who have, succeeded, and that certainly helps.
Exactly. So, Salma, you have, joined into, this nomination race. What inspired you to become an actual, well, not yet a candidate, but at least you will be running for that nomination. What inspired you to
See,
run?
I've been involved with the Liberal Party since 2003.
Yes.
I've been working in different roles. And in the last few years, what I felt is that it is very important that women take leadership roles.
Yes.
And they come, because women bring a different perspective to the policy table.
Yes.
Being a mother,
A lot of unpaid work at home.
Yes.
That work-life balance.
So I think we have to, in order to work and come into politics, women need to put in more hours as compared to the men.
Right.
Because we have to do our basic duty as a mother, when you go back home, kids are there and you have to look after, I'm a mother of 2 teenage boys.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I have to sit down with them, see what they have done in the school, are they doing their homework?
Yes.
So still I felt that there is a need that we provide opportunities
Yes.
to our women candidates.
Yes, so actually both of you, being mothers, did you ever find it difficult to actually balance that work-life balance with what you guys are doing? Because, you guys are actually in that public space. Did you feel that you needed to balance that private life as well?
Well, sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
I was just going to say that I don't think perfect balance is ever possible, whether you're a man or a woman.
Yes.
I don't think it's necessarily a woman issue or a woman in politics issue. You could be working in a corporate world. You could be a lawyer putting in long hours. So this is a challenge that you face, because I always say, and I use this as an example, when I think of somebody like Mandela. Would Nelson Mandela have achieved what he did for South Africa if he had worried about work-life balance? So I think there is no right answer, but I think each of us makes those decisions. But I'm not sure that perfect work-life balance is possible. What you can do is at different times you can try and balance. So in my example, when my daughter was around between the ages of 3 and 8, I actually worked part-time. And that's when I was that's how I started off at Omni TV, actually.
Yes.
Started out working part-time. And that was perfect for me because my
Right.
daughter was really young, and
You were
I
able to
had that
balance.
luxury of being able to go part-time. And I treasure that.
Yes.
And so I feel like, in those years I was there for her. Now she's a teenager and she's 16 years old. And yes, I do struggle with it.
Yeah.
But I do feel that it's something we all struggle with. It's not special to women in politics, but I also feel that, I had those years when I was part-time
Yeah.
and I was able to help her. So.
Exactly.
I
Salma.
also feel the same way. When I came here in 1999 with a 1-year-old son, although like my husband was working at a temporary job, the resources we had were very difficult to settle down as a new immigrants. But still, I decided, okay, I'll stay home because as my mother always used to say, that the child's first school is the lap of the mother.
Yeah, that's a very nice line.
So
Yeah, that's
that's
a
what
great
my
line.
mother always taught. So because I still remember what my mother and what my grandmothers used to tell us at an
Yes.
early age. They are still in ours. I all give examples to my kids that
Right.
what my grandmother told. So for the first few years, I stayed home. Then I had the second one year after. So I started working part-time in 2003.
Oh, wow.
Because first few years I thought it's very important for the development. Like the mother is the nucleus of the family.
Yes,
and
it is.
family is of core importance because I believe that the families build communities and then the communities build nations.
Yes.
So
That's a good point.
Mothers are the role of the mother is very important. Now even we have to struggle.
Right.
Like, you come home, you have to look into other activities and all that.
Yes.
A balance has to be kept.
Yeah.
And the kids and the family has to be given time.
Exactly.
Sometimes it becomes difficult.
No,
But
I could only
still-
imagine. Well, I'm not yet a mother yet, but I can only imagine, what is actually required, one day if I become a mother as well. And, I also want to ask, being, women of color, did you find that there were any obstacles that you're currently facing or have faced before getting into the positions that you're in right now?
So I really want to answer that question because, and I don't want to, I've never been anything but a woman of color. So it's hard
To know what
yeah,
it's like to
and I think that's an important distinction to make, right? But I want to come to an example. So when my daughter was about 11 years old, 10 or 11 years old, she wasn't doing very well in English. And I would ask her, Sharmila, how come your grades aren't so good? And her answer to me was, Mom, my teacher doesn't like me.
Oh, wow.
But the moment you believe that the reason you're not doing well is because your teacher doesn't like you, you're never going to improve because where is the motivation? So I think one has to be very, very careful to assign blame. So for me to say, because I'm a woman of color, I have special obstacles, it may well be true.
Yes.
But does it really help me to take that route of self-pity and poor me?
Right.
One has to be very careful because then you might hurt yourself, just as my daughter, if she truly believed
Yes.
that the teacher doesn't like her, it's not her. So one has to, I think, have that honest self-reflection when obstacles come.
Yes.
Is it because that is life and life is not fair, and or is it truly racism?
Yeah.
And make that distinction so that one doesn't lose the motivation to get ahead, to get better. So sometimes it's almost better to discount that. So I
Yes.
always want people, don't look at me as a woman of color, just look at me as a woman. Give me that luxury.
Exactly. Right. Salva, is there anything that you can add to that?
I think that's what I tell. I have a lot of I don't have a daughter, but I always tell the daughters who friends and families, daughters who are in high school, that you have to come out of this, that okay, women cannot do this, they cannot do that, or maybe it's because of the color of the skin or your religious restrictions. Get over this.
Yes.
Great line.
You have
yes.
to take leadership roles starting right at high school.
Right.
Because I feel like I have been raised in Pakistan.
Yes.
I came here as a mother, but my schooling and my university was from Pakistan.
Yeah.
And there, the cultural restrictions which we have on women, sometimes it is very difficult for the women to come out of that nucleus.
Right. So living through that time, I know that you were in Canada, but there's still a couple of obstacles and barriers that, women of all ages go through. Do you know if there is a certain pinpoint of an age where women should be getting involved? Is there a certain age for them to start?
I think you should start as early as possible, at every age,
Yes.
whatever the roles you can take.
Yeah.
You should take
So
that.
a line that I use with the youth always is, don't say I'm going to grow up to do this. right? Because that's how we
Yeah.
are in society. So as a child, you're just in limbo, and then you're going to grow up to become something. And obviously, there are certain things like maybe a lawyer or a doctor you're going to grow up to become, but you can get on that path even when you're 10 or 12 years old. So you really want to become a doctor. Maybe you want to start volunteering with the Canadian Blood Services. You know, so what I mean is we need to get out of the idea for men, women, girls, and boys of growing up to do something and start doing it now. So I agree with you, Salma, on that. It's never too early to start. I mean, within reason.
For
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
You know, another thing that I find that's so important, you know, getting involved so early, because, you know, you are building different capacities, whether it's leadership, whether it's public speaking, so on and so forth. Did you have any particular role models that you looked up to, you know, that were women, that kind of helped you shape to the women that you are today?
Absolutely, but you know, I just want to go back to one more thing about about what age should girls start.
Sure.
And that is, you know, up to a certain point, and I don't know what that magic number is. Girls are not aware yet
Yes.
that because I'm a girl, I can't do something. I don't know whether it's 8 or 9 or 11 or 12, right? And at some point, because I can see it in my daughter, right? They have that wonderful innocence because the world hasn't gotten to them yet to say because you're a woman you can't do these things. So the earlier they're actually able to start doing leadership stuff before that worm gets into their head that
Right.
because I'm a woman I can do this or not, I think it helps them even more so that when that worm starts to get in they can fight it back more effectively. So I did want to get that in.
Yes.
But sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, so
Yeah,
back
I think
to,
because it's very important. Back home when I was there, my father always used to say that she is my elder son, not
Yeah.
my daughter. And like the confidence which he gave to me in the early
Yes.
school years, I think that's on, which has built on.
And that's
That's an
great,
important
that your dad did that, and that speaks to some cultural references because you know I come from a family where it's 2 sisters, and I know that certain parts of my family there was a disappointment that there was no brother, that there wasn't a son in the family. So quite like your father, my father actually raised me more like a boy, and I'll tell you, and both of us. But you know, he taught me how to change a flat tire. You know, he taught me how to change a spark plug. Like for him, he just was so concerned. He wanted me to grow up to be able to look after myself. You know, it was that protective gene in any dad, and it manifests differently, right? Some fathers want to protect their daughter in a certain way, and with my father, like your father, it was how can I make this young girl as independent as possible, as able to protect herself. Even now he tells me, go for karate class. You know, he's always
Learn it all
about
together.
that's, you know, being empowering me. So you asked me who's my role model, definitely women, definitely my mother, but I have to say my dad did such a bang up job
to shaping you who you are today.
Yeah, yes, I do have to
You know,
give him that.
moving forward, if you can quickly offer, you know, some advice, you know, to women who are still, you know, who are still young or still trying to figure out the next steps of what they can take. Can you just quickly give some great, quick advice to what you can offer for them?
You want to go first?
I think we are celebrating International Women's Day.
Yes.
And it should not be just the celebration of what struggles and achievements women or the girls have done, but it should be more like what in future, how can we tap into the potentials which are available and the opportunities which are available for our next generation.
Yes. And
For me, I think it's about choice. To be able to have the choice, because I think it's a false choice when you say a woman is really empowered if she's in the career track or the mommy track. I don't like those terms.
No.
Just the ability to have that choice, I think, is the most empowering. But at the end of the day, I'm going to agree with Salma in the sense that so much of it is in your head.
Yes.
Get strong role models, get strong mentors. Ask yourself, what is it that you really want, and just go for it. Just go. It's never been a better time to be a woman, so just make the most of it.
Carpe diem, right? Thank you so much for coming here today and really sharing your stories and great advice. So, you know, as a token of our appreciation, we have this wonderful gift basket that's from TV1 and Crispy.
Look at that.
I know,
Look
a
at
lot
that.
of great stuff in it. And from Crispy, they're just baked. So you guys will each be taking a basket home.
Wow.
So thank you so much for watching. And for our viewers that are also watching, thank you and stay tuned right here after the break.
Had already seen results. Needless to say, with 3 daughters in my house.
So I always want people, don't look at me as a woman of color. Just look at me as a woman.
International Women's Day special. have Anjana Kochar.
And we have high quality of life. That's the goal.
Had already seen results. Needless
Right.
to stay with 3 daughters in my house.
So I always want people, don't look at me as a woman of courage. Look at me as a woman.
International Women's Day special. We also have Anjana Kochar.
And we have high quality of life. That's the goal.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us on this International Women's Day special. I am your host, Barbara Hazel Tabuno, and I am now joined by Shazia Khan and Dr. Rand Askalan. Dr. Rand Askalan did her undergrad degree in medical laboratory technology and her master's degree in biochemistry at the American University of Beirut, Lebanon. She subsequently obtained her PhD in neurosciences at the University of Cambridge. She received additional 3 years of basic research training as a postdoctoral fellow in Dr. Mike Salter's laboratory at the Hospital for Sick Children before entering the School of Medicine at the University of Toronto. We also have Shazia Khan. She's a realtor by profession, also a mother of a boy and girl, so looking forward to get to know that, and also is hosting the Nabib Wedding Show. So thank you, ladies, for coming on to our show today to talk about this wonderful topic of being strong women, women that's in a great profession. So I would love to first know, talk us through your achievements to your profession today.
Well, I was a real estate paralegal with my own business for 18 years. And I thought, okay, you know what? Why not get into real estate myself? So I've done that, and it's been successful. I've been very happy with it, and I've got 2 teenage children. So balancing a real estate career with 2 teenage children is like hard.
Yes, exactly. And how about you, Dr. Rand? So give us a walkthrough of, you have a lot of achievements prior to now being at the Hospital for Sick Kids. Walk us through those achievements before you entered. Hospital for Sick Kids.
Children.
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's been a long haul in terms of getting the to do what I do. It ended up doing science and medicine, which is a beautiful combination. But it does take a long time and does take hard work. So I started in the American University of Beirut, as you mentioned, and I was an undergraduate there. And basically one thing led to another. And the most important is sometimes we think we want to be on a certain path, but then we see something else and deviate. And this is what happened to me. Initially, I wanted to be in medicine from the very beginning, until I started to get introduced to science and meeting graduate students in my undergrad. And science was really
It opened your eyes.
And I said, no, who wants to do medicine? I'm going to go to science. So this is where I deviated from the initial plan and went into and did a graduate degree in biochemistry and then subsequently a PhD in neurosciences. And I thought I'll never go back to medicine. Until I came back here and started working at Sick Kids and started working in my research, which was really looking at spinal cord injury at the beginning. And one day in the lab, I said, oh my God, I spent hours and hours working on spinal cord injury, but I've never seen a patient with a spinal cord injury. So this is where I said, okay, it's time maybe to combine both, and I went back to medicine.
Yes, so both of your careers, it takes in a lot of hours. You're traveling, you're researching. Where do you find the time to just be you, and what does that look like?
Being me.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I think I'm friendly by nature. So that's why I think I can enjoy my business. Like, I love interacting with people. I like talking to people. So for me, I enjoy seeing them happy when they're making their purchase or when they're making their investment, you know what I mean? So that makes me happy. Also because I do have, as I was telling you, I do the Nabib Wedding Show, which I've been doing for the past 5 years. So because of that, I have a lot of interaction with people. So I think my way of letting myself get a break is basically socializing and just networking with people, and that's it.
And how about yourself, Dr. Rand?
I think it's similar. I mean, what I do is part of me, and it's part of how I express myself. And this is why it's very important to do what you have a passion for.
Yes.
And not to look at what you do as just a job and a way on earning money. Yes, it is a way of earning money, that's for sure. But if you don't have that passion for it, you won't be successful and enjoy it. Now, you're probably asking also, of course, I make sure I have time for social life. I make sure I have time for my 2 children as well. And it's a busy life if you start and make, but you have to give each part of that life its adequate share and attention.
Right. Do you find that the professions that you're in and the lives that you live, like so you have children, do you find that there's any difficulty in those challenges trying to balance the work and your life?
Well, for me, I do, because I find that a lot of my evenings are spent out meeting clients or doing showings and stuff, and I feel like my children do lag behind in that then. So what I try to do is I do compensate. Like I will try maybe to have appointments on certain days and not on certain days, just so I can give them attention, because they are teenagers.
Right.
And they're in high school and they need to, like, you know, get to university and they need their mom around, you know?
Right.
So I try to balance as much as I can, or at least on the weekends give them as much time as I can.
Right.
For sure.
Durand.
It's always a balance and a struggle, but I think there are times when you need to focus on some aspect of your life more than other, and shift things around as needed. But then also it's very important to prioritize.
Oh, absolutely.
So and not to lose focus of what's important,
Right.
and not to lose that from sight. And really, what's important at the end of the day is the kids. And if you have that priority always clear, then you will be able to balance it, and as long as you have that in focus.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's really important, you know, to actually being able to find that focus in order to move forward. Do you find that prior to, you know, becoming your professions of who you are, you know, what kind of obstacles did you guys end up going through, and how did you end up coping with them? Dr. Rand, if you want to start.
Yeah, and in terms of of obstacles and
challenges or any barriers that you had faced, how did you end up overcoming them?
I mean, for me, the challenges is being. I'm originally Palestinian, and that has a lot to do with the obstacles that we face as Palestinians, in the sense of the homeless state, that the situation we're in. So there's not when I was growing up, there's no home is not really home. It's not available to us. And so really I moved a lot, just based on you see how I lived in Lebanon, I lived in Europe, now I'm living in North America.
Yes.
Do you say this is by choice 100%? I don't think so. It's probably is part of being a Palestinian, is that constant moving and looking for the place that will give us, or give me, the opportunity to deliver and do what I want to do, is to look for that part of the world where so it's very important, but also it's very important to stay connected to the roots. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the tough part.
Okay, my obstacles are not as much as her obstacles.
Yes. But there's definitely some similarities.
No, I'll be honest. I mean, I always want to be a real estate agent, but for me, same thing. My kids came first. I could not leave them when they were little. It was too hard, you know.
Of course.
Between their basketball and their swimming and their karate and this and that, who's going to do all that?
Right.
Right. So now that they're a lot older, I have more time for what I want to do.
Right.
So that, I think, for me, was my biggest obstacle.
Right. In terms of raising them
And now I can finally have a career that I'm happy doing.
Yeah. Do you find that, a lot of the factors, external factors, do you think that they inform your experiences, as women? Has that changed over time?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think all your experiences in life shape you and help you become who you are today.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, basically, had I not had my 18 years of real estate law experience, maybe I wouldn't have wanted to been a real estate agent. I don't know.
Right.
Or if I didn't have my wedding show in which I interact with people and I network so much, that I wouldn't be as successful as I am today.
Right.
So it just depends.
And Dr. Rand, do you have anything to add?
In the sense of...
In the sense of any influences. So I know that you've mentioned that you've traveled all over the world, really. Has any of that experience really impacted or shaped who you are today?
Absolutely, because when you travel, you're exposed. You're exposed to cultures. You're exposed to new ideas. So yes, it's a drawback that we don't have. I don't have my home country is not available for me. But at the same time, the fact that I was lived in all these cultures and all these shaped of how I think, shaped also my ability to accommodate and to accept people the way they are, and be open to new ideas, be open to new challenges,
Yes.
and always think there is nothing really you can't do. And this would be my message really to women, is yes, it's a world ruled by men, unfortunately.
Even though we take the majority of the number.
We do have to accept this fact, but at the same time, just keep focused on the fact that you're a woman. That doesn't mean you can't do it.
Exactly.
And don't underestimate your strength. Don't never underestimate just because you're a woman in difficult circumstances. Like women in Palestine, women in Afghanistan, women in all these countries of conflict, they do incredible things, and
Yes.
they, with the minimum means that they have.
Yeah.
And these are the real fighters among women,
Yeah.
really. And these are the real accomplishers, yeah.
Great. You know, I think also another important thing, and it's great that you've mentioned, that, women today, we still are not equal to men. There's still, women, although we kind of rule in numbers, we don't necessarily rule
Yes.
In many different aspects, political, social, economics.
And it has to do with us too.
Oh.
It's our fault as well.
Yes.
Yes.
And so what do you think that our leaders need to do today in order to address that, so that we do walk closer to this world of fairness, justice, and equality?
I think we have to address it first as women before we ask fixing the problem should come from us,
Yes.
rather than asking the world to fix it for women,
Yes.
or asking the men, if you like, to fix the so the issue should, with our intelligence, with our belief that we can change things, this is when we force change, not by asking for it.
Yes.
We should force it, not by asking for
Right.
it.
I come from a very conservative background, so for us to go out and meet people and go into meetings with men and this and that, it's still conservative enough, So I think as long as you're persistent and you believe in what you're presenting and you believe in yourself, I think the person in front should be able to accept you and believe you in who you are,
Right.
whether it's a man or a female.
Exactly. And I think that's really great advice that both of you had given us today. So I want to thank you so much for coming onto our show and really sharing that, because, it's really important to understand, what we as women really need to do in order to kind of step out of our scope and to really take charge, in our world and making a change and making a difference, whether it be small or little. So thank you so much for sharing those experiences.
You're welcome.
And, as a token for actually being on our show today, so we have a wonderful gift basket
Oh,
that's
dear.
actually
That's
from
huge.
TV1 and Crispy, so that each of you will actually
Wow.
be taking this home.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies, for being here today. And for viewers at home, we still have more wonderful women coming onto our show to be sharing more of their inspiring stories. So stay tuned, and we'll see you right after the break.
Had already seen results. Needless to say, with 3 daughters in my house.
So I always want people, don't look at me as a woman of color, just look at me as a woman.
International Women's Day special. We also have Anjana Kochar.
And you have high quality of life. That's the goal.
Had already seen results. Needless to say, with 3 daughters in my house.
So I always want people, don't look at me as a woman of color, just look at me as a woman.
International Women's Day special. We also have Anjana Kochar.
And you have high quality of life. That's the goal.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for this International Women's Day special. I'm your host, Barbara Hazel Timbuno, and I am now joined by, from my right, we have first Mokshi Virk, next we have Sanjukta Das, and Anjana Kochar. Mokshi Virk is a successful real estate broker with Royal Star Realty Inc., who enjoys holding educational successful involvement in a networking event for the ICCC WEP, which stands for the Indo-Canadian Chamber of Commerce for Women Entrepreneurs and Professionals. Also, we have Sanjukta Das, who is a dynamic motivational speaker and leader at Humber Business School, who has dedicated her professional life to conducting stress management workshops, career counseling, and educational initiatives with a view to help students and women reach their highest potential. She first held Celebrating Womanhood as a portal to express her vision with the support of the World Women Global Council in Canada. We also have Anjana Kochar. She's a travel industry professional with its 17 years of experience. She's worked in many multi-corporations all over the world at the senior corporation level. She's graduated from IATA Marketing from Singapore and graduate of English Honors. She is also the founder of Femme Circle, and it was conceived with the spirit to make a difference in every woman's life, professionally and personally. So ladies, great backgrounds, and thank you so much for joining me here in celebrating International Women's Day. So I would love to first know, and also the viewers who are watching, how did you women actually come together, partner, and collaborate?
Hi, Barbara. Thank you so much for having us over. To answer your question, how we came together, we three women know that we can empower each other. And if we empower each other, we can do a great job out in the community, empowering a host of other women. The story started last year when we had our first Celebrating Womanhood event. Later this year, I did a call out and came to know that there were other organizations who are doing celebrations. So why don't we put our heads and hands together and take it ahead? Here is Mokshi, who did her Celebrating Womanhood event last year. And here is Anjana from Femme Circle. And here am I, the founder of WINGS, Women Initiatives to Nurture, Grow and Support is the name of my organization. And we just decided that let's give the women in the Peel region a fantastic time of celebration of who they are. And that's how we got together. We put our heads together, and we had a fantastic event last night where we had speakers, we had Women Hero Awardees, we had fusion dance, we had classical dancing, we had a fashion show.
And that's always important for women, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've been looking forward for it, Barbara. I mean, when we just started about it, it was like it's been a few months we've been working on it. There have been tiresome nights and lots of labor put in, I would say. But now when we've seen it yesterday, the outcome, the response, it was amazing. Everybody, I mean, they really talked about it. And together we are so happy that we had a small idea and what a platform we gave it. It was beautiful. I mean, for us, woman has the power. It is us who give the citizens. It's us who develop the nations. So it's us who have to give it back to the community and to our future generations.
For sure. And you know what? Since it's International Women's Day, and the theme this year was inspiring change, we really wanted to do something which can bring about a change in a woman's life. So this was a good opportunity. And as Sanjukta ji mentioned, it was a great event. We had fashion show. We had such a good coverage out there. People were really interested in watching the Bollywood fusion dance. It was fun. We were very happy with the work we did.
Most importantly, Barbara, our partnership is to exemplify to the community of women that we can bring things together, our strengths together, to portray a portal where others can join in. This entire event has been a space where every individual who has engaged herself has felt empowered. That is the very essence of our partnership. Each one of us here bring in different strengths.
Exactly. And so I would love to know on that, you guys are coming from different organizations. And, you decided to, hey, Anjana, hello, Mokshi, let's come together. So, what were those, individual special abilities or talents that you felt that you actually contributed, to WINGS?
Actually, Anjana has got extreme good marketing skills.
Yes.
None next to her.
Anything that you can share, go ahead.
I mean, for me, yes, I'm a people's person.
Right.
So you tell me, go out and get and talk to somebody, I know it's me. And with my Femme Circle, I conduct those networking every month, and I see the response. It's been amazing. Month after month, my numbers have been growing. So when Sanjukta came over and I said, okay, this is what WINGS is doing, and this is a dream what WINGS has, I shared the same passion. It was like, within minutes, I said, Sanjukta, I am in. Because I know we are from 3 different individual backgrounds, totally different backgrounds, but we just had one simple dream, empower the woman. And we just did it.
Mokshi actually came in with another very, very extensive skill.
Right.
Mokshi is very connected in the community.
Yes.
Within her business parameters, she has a lot of connections with people who want to showcase their business.
Right.
Mokshi,
So how did you connect that in?
And this was an opportunity for them to really showcase their business. We had vendors, we had sponsors who were out there showcasing their businesses, and in return, we were actually having a good event. So it was great that we could collaborate together and do such a nice, successful event.
Yes. So, you know, a part of you guys coming together, and, you know, usually even at the start of a new event, usually it's because individuals see that there's a gap, that there's something missing. What did you guys find that was that, you know, that little gap that was missing that you had to create this fantastic event?
Barbara, we recognize a very simple thing, and that is each one of us want to be happy. We want to be happy by doing something that is even outside our professional parameters. So using our professional skills in order to outreach into the community was the basic theme that was cradled in this partnership. We actually put ourselves together for a cause. So our individual differences
Yeah,
were
I would say we
eradicated.
just complemented each other.
Right.
Oh, for sure,
You
she's
had
right.
different skills. that really
Exactly.
blended
All the gaps
together.
were filled in. We all complemented each other. We said, okay, whatever are our pluses, just got to put forward, and we really got to raise a bar high. That's all it was, and we really did it.
And instead of just having an event where it's just the lectures, we had a fusion of dance. We had a showstopper, a fashion show in place. Besides, as Sanjukta ji mentioned, that we gave away awards to women heroes.
Wow.
So that was an outstanding thing. I mean, the people who have really contributed to our community, we really wanted to make sure that they get the recognition on this.
Right.
The vision for this event, Celebrating
Yes.
Womanhood, is every year we're going to give a call out to the community and celebrate this way. And the portal that we are creating is a portal where people get to know that, yes, there are others who are there putting in a lot of effort and energy. And here we are to recognize that.
Right. Do you feel that, you know, women today, because you did mention that there's an awards, you did mention that women need to feel empowered. Do you feel that we do not do that enough? in
Yeah,
today's
Barbara,
society?
off and on when I'm like interacting with women, women have desires, women have aims, women have ambitions, but the only thing that's missing is the inspiration. So I think this event brings up a lot of inspiration that out there you can do it, you can make a difference even in your small shell.
Yes.
You really may not want to just go out all over, but even in your small space, you can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And Mokshi, with you being connected to many organizations, being in the community, you know, what kind of challenges do you see that's actually happening in our communities where women don't feel that they can step up and really empower themselves?
And that's what Anjana was right saying that they need a platform where they can come forward and bring their, like just we mentioned about the vendors and sponsors, they were looking for some place where they can showcase their businesses. So this was a good opportunity for them. And you know what, we are planning to move on from here. This was a successful event, and we are planning to have some more networking event in future to connect with more and more women and try to encourage them to be a part of our team.
Yes. And so do you find that when the women come, what is it that they do take away? What do you notice in terms of their reaction, maybe behavior, or even feedback that they get when they come to your event?
Well, answering that, I would say it's a grounded, anchored relationship that they go back with. The individual women who participated in my last Celebrating Womanhood event are here back again, giving even more. And that is our strength, that we create lifetime relationships. We create a relationship that is going to empower us to move ahead in life, whether it is professionally, in our personal activities. That is the very crux of this.
Just want to add up here, the most important thing what I noticed when the women came in, they were so proud to be what they are. You know, sometimes women don't recognize themselves.
Yes.
They are all the time busy in their families, their professional life, their household, and so many
sharing
other
those
commitments.
stories.
They are juggling between so many things. And actually they forget about themselves. But when they come here, at times I do tell them, women, you've got to be selfish. And I mean, you got to take care of yourselves. You want to give yourself time. You want to learn and grow in your space and give it back.
Yes.
It's just not about the, yes, it is about your profession and families, but it's more about you too as a woman. So you've got to celebrate your womanhood.
Yeah. So what have you guys taken back from this? What have you learned about yourself that women for the next generation should learn to take away so that they can apply this into their lives?
You need to be happy yourself because that's our basic human right. Once I am happy, I can create ripples of positivity wherever I am.
For sure, and I would rather like to add here as well that it was not just about women, but the families, because without a family, a woman cannot even step forward. So it was great that we had the audience that were all families supporting their own women as well as the other women. So it was great, and we had the great time there.
Yeah, I mean, loving yourself is the most important thing. If you love yourself, you respect yourself, you can make wonders, and you can really make wonders and miracles, I would say. You change the world around you.
Something that you had mentioned just earlier is this need to be selfish. So I know that you had mentioned that, you know, we have our professional life, we have, you know, our family life. And so how do each of you in your own lives, you know, personally, how do you take on that word of being selfish? How is that done in your life?
Just to say for myself,
Yes.
like I would say like I have to take out when I'm working, I'm really like, I have long hours of working. Or when I'm doing my Fem Circle, it's an every month event and I want to really do my best. I have to arrange for guest speakers and it's lots going on. But I know my health is the most important thing. If I'm healthy, I can go out with it. So I need to take out those 40 minutes a day, whether I'm in your yoga or whether I'm doing my exercises, but I have to be selfish. If there's something important, I'll prioritize my exercise time, do that, and then go forward in my day. So that's how I get selfish.
Perfect. Sanjukta.
Well, the simple thing that I forgot to mention is, first and foremost thing, apart from my professional life, I'm an art of living teacher. And in that aspect, I see myself rejuvenating every day via meditation. I have to give myself 20 minutes of meditation time, and I do conduct workshops on meditation and breathing techniques. That is my volunteer work that I do in the community. So yes, my selfish time is rejuvenating myself, getting in touch with myself in order to be peaceful within, to be dynamic outside.
Right. Mokshi.
And what I would do is, being a realtor myself, it's a very busy schedule throughout the year, except for the 4 months, the winter months that we are just going through now. So what I do is I usually take a break. We go for family vacation. So it's always a good time to be with your family when you can't even give them time during the whole summer season. So it's really great to be with the family. So I do this to be with our family.
Yes. So moving forward, quickly, if you guys can offer any advice or guidance, you know, moving forward after this event, you know, what do you think needs to be done right now or even moving forward into the future for women so that they do feel empowered, so that they are motivated, they're inspired to do what you women do? And I think it's great. Any lasting advice for that?
I would say just realize yourself that you have it in you. I'm sure God has gifted you with something. Take it up and move forward. Show it to the world that yes, you have it. Connect with the right people. You can connect with anybody. I mean, we are always there. You feel there's something you can offer. You have a quality. You want to do something. We are always there to take you along with us, hold your hand and move forward.
Awesome.
I would say that being happy is a choice that we're making. It is a choice that we have to make, that I will be happy and I am happy. Just look at yourself where you were last year and how you overcame those barriers.
Yes.
And you will succeed. So looking at life with a positive lens, however difficult it is, and that you have been successful and you will be successful, to confirm again and again that I am the pillar of strength where I am, and I have to play my role 100%, and people around me will be affected positively then.
Beautiful.
And I would just call upon all the viewers that if you have a strength, if you really want to empower yourself, you want to be a part of our team, please join us, because we are planning to move on from here. We are going to have more networking events, more events where you can showcase your expertise, your business, and be a part of our team.
Perfect.
That's what we are passing on to our viewers.
Awesome. And is there a website that
Yes,
you guys
we
can
do.
go on? What's the
Yes,
website?
we have a Wings website, we have a Fem Circle website, and we are looking to move ahead with a merger, with new initiatives. So I'm sure there'll be lots coming.
Perfect. So I want to thank each of you for coming and really sharing, a lot of inspiring stories and also sharing the importance of this event on empowering women. And so for each of you, you guys will be taking home a wonderful basket.
Wow!
Yeah.
So
So it's
nice.
actually from TV1 and Crispy. And Crispy says, just baked. So that's always good. So thank you, ladies, so much for coming and really sharing a lot of great, inspiring
so much
stories.
for having us.
Absolutely. And
Great.
to the viewers out there, thank you so much for joining us. And notice we have one more segment right after this break, so stay tuned.
Had already seen results. Needless
Right.
to say, with 3 daughters in my house.
So I always want people, don't look at me as a woman of color. Just look at me as a woman.
International Women's Day special. We also have Anjana Kochar.
And you have high quality of life. That's the goal.
Had already seen results. Needless
Right.
to say, with 3 daughters in my house.
So I always want people, don't look at me as a woman of color. Just look at me as a woman.
International Women's Day special. We also have Anjana Kochar.
And you have high quality of life. That's the goal.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for International Women's Day special. I'm your host, Barbara Hazel Tabuno, and as our last guest, we have a special guest. It is the Mayor of Brampton, Mayor Susan Fennell. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you very much for having me on your show.
Absolutely. So Mayor Susan Fennell, for those of you who aren't aware of who she is, she's known for her accessibility, enthusiasm, and unwavering commitment to the people of Brampton. She was first elected in 1988 and served on City and Peel Regional Councils before becoming mayor in 2000. Through her leadership and experience, Mayor Fennell has presided over Brampton's growth as a world-class city and one of Canada's most thriving, dynamic, and diverse communities. So thank you for shaping Brampton to the way it is today. And I actually just want to know, so first being elected in 1988, tell us about that experience.
Well, and it's a good question because this is municipal election year. There may be other people who are, I hope there are other people considering running not for mayor, because I'd like to stay the mayor.
Stay the mayor.
Like everybody vote for the mayor. However, a lot of people could be thinking about a career in public service. And for women, we really encourage women to become part of the political process because all the decisions should be made by people representing the community, and the community is half women, half men. And so we'd like to see a strong representation that reflects the community in which we live. And municipal government is a great place to get involved. That's where I chose to get involved. I did have a job in the private sector for 11 years post-university. And, I was a young mother, and you start to think about, you're paying property taxes, and why do they do this, and why do they do that? And it's never been my nature, and many women, it's not our nature to just sort of talk about they. We are they. So if there's things that concern you, get involved, change them.
Yes.
It's not hard to do, but you really have to have the desire to be in public service and respond to people and have a vision for the city and help be part of shaping it. So here we are, fast forward, 24 years later, now 14 years, the mayor of Brampton. And, in the early days, people say, well, how do you get the network? Like, did you have to know a lot of people? Well, actually, I became a member of the Zonta Club of Brampton Caledon, which, as you know, is a women's service club. And the Zonta women were very helpful in my first campaign, and of course since. So I've encouraged people to build networks and consider Zonta. Here we are at International Women's Day, and the women's network is very strong. In the old days, I'm talking about the old days, like 30, 40 years ago, women didn't help each other. Well, there was almost a different attitude, but today, it's just so empowering. And, and I think about even our recent victory in Sochi, when you saw these women At the end of that game, where most people have said, that's it,
It's
they
over
are
for
toast,
Canada.
it's over. But what did these women do? They are the role models for how I like to proceed. In fact, they were most encouraging when I decided to run for mayor. As you know, I founded the National Women's Hockey League and provided a professional league for the elite level women's hockey players to play hockey after the silver medal in Nagano in 1998, and we went on to see gold in 2002, 06, 010, and now 014. But these women never give up.
No, they took charge.
You take a goal, but you do it as a team. You can't be all that you want to be if you try to do it alone. You have to include people, share your ideas, and allow people in, allow people to help. Women are phenomenal team players.
Yes.
So it's wonderful to be here to share that. Now, when I became mayor, I've served with Hazel McCallion since 1991 when I went to the region. So we've been colleagues for many, many years. And, you know, people have looked at Mayor McCallion and Mayor Fennell and said, well, this is very interesting. In the 26 big cities of Canada, there are 2 female big city mayors, Mayor McCallion and myself.
Yourself.
And of course, we're both from Quebec. We're both involved in fans of women's hockey, but we both raised 2 sons, not daughters. So it's interesting, the similarity. In fact, we both have German Shepherd dogs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of similarities, but you know, it shows that Hazel's success in Peel, I believe, has had an influence on shaping the minds of voters that women can do a very good job at minding the pennies and running a city as a big corporation. It's like a very big house for a very big family.
And you're trying to balance all of those different interests, all of those different needs all together.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you see, for Hazel, her success then rubs off because then the public says, we want a mayor like that. So then you see the mayor of Brampton as a female, the mayor of Caledon as a female, our chief of police is now a female. So
and even
in the
our
region
premier
of
of
Peel,
Ontario.
and our premier is a female. And so we're seeing that there's an acceptance that people look beyond whether you're male or female. I don't think it should be an advantage or a disadvantage. People should look at the person and what you have to offer. And Hazel was the really the person, the crusader that opened doors for many, many women in politics today because of her success. I mean, if she had been a complete failure, people would have said, we don't want one of those. So, you know, she's done an incredible job now, 93 years old, and she's really led the way and opened the door for many women. And that's part of the network. And she's an honorary member of the Zonta Club as well.
Yes,
so,
and she's definitely, you know, it definitely seems that a lot of the things that she has done for Mississauga and just her being, it seems like she has been a role model to you, really. Can you take away any experiences, you know, that she has done for the city of Mississauga that you implement and employ in Brampton?
Well, I can tell you when I first became mayor, and she was very encouraging when I ran for mayor, she sat me down and she said, now, Susan, you have to become debt-free. You're a growing city. You have development charges. You need a strong financial base. You have to have a good hand on the levers of growth so it doesn't run away on you. So we, within 2 years, brought Brampton to externally debt-free and a AAA credit rating. Then we imposed a development cap, which regulates the amount of growth that you see in the city of Brampton. That is a measure that no other Canadian community has taken. We were able to do that because it was necessary to do it. You shouldn't just grow to the desire of those who want to develop your city. You have to manage growth at a pace you can afford. That's the infrastructure, the roads, the recreation centers, the buses, zoning places for places of worship for schools, so that you have complete neighborhoods and you have high quality of life. That's the goal. So that's been my vision from day one, and we just continue to move Brampton forward to attract the right kind of jobs.
Yes. Is there anything about, you know,
Excuse me.
Oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. Is there anything about, you know, being in public life, any obstacles that you face in terms of, you know, trying to balance out, you know, you've been obviously in politics for a very long time. It's okay. Are you okay?
Little flu, yes, this is what.
Flu season.
You don't get a chance to get your flu better very quickly.
Yes.
But you know, People say to me, it must be different being the mayor, you're very busy. But I say to all women, are you not as busy? You have a career,
different
you're
things
raising
to
children,
have.
often aging parents, and you have to balance it all. And you have to have the kind of mind that can balance that, all of those demands on your time, and be unflappable. You can't have your, becoming upset and uptight or, screaming at people. That's just not acceptable. You have to plow through everything in a methodical, proper, orderly way.
Right.
So everything you're touching is successful. And it's not easy because in politics, your calendar can be trumped by situations going around you. You need to be able to respond. You need a very supportive family, absolutely. But in what career does a woman not need a very supportive family, particularly when you're moving into the corporate environment where your evenings and your weekends are often involved in work as a mayor? They're all involved in work.
Yes.
You need to be available.
Right.
But these are options for women today, whether it's the chief of police or the mayor of a big city in Canada, or the head of a bank, or in the private sector institutions. We've seen female astronauts.
Right.
So women can achieve, this is the
impossible.
wonderful opportunities of being Canadian. In Canada, it's acceptable to achieve based on who you are and what you can do. It doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 93 and run the sixth largest city in Canada. You can be 15 years old and be developing an app for the computer that a company will pay you $1 million for. The message is, achieve what you know is right to keep doing, and just keep trying and build your networks and encourage people to support you and to help you. And there are no barriers.
Yes.
I say to people, there are no barriers. If you want to be the prime minister, if you want to be the chief of police, if you want to be the mayor, don't use, I wonder if people accept me because of women. And particularly in such a culturally diverse area like Brampton, there's so many different cultures, and not every culture has the same base acceptance for women's role outside of the home. So those women have an additional challenge to bring their family along to be successful both inside and outside of the home, and you don't have to sacrifice one for the other.
Mayor Fennell, if I can ask you, I know that many women have been entering a lot of great professions where they're now becoming, at executive levels. We're seeing more women in more leadership roles. Are we on the right path to fairness and equality? Women are, for example, they're still being paid, less than men. What do we need to do? What do our leaders need to do to address that so that we do walk closer to equality and fairness in our society?
Well, I think we've made great strides in the last decade or two, and we just have to keep going. I think maybe 30, 40 years ago, there was a huge gap, and that's not so much today. And then, of course, when you find a woman as a chief executive officer that is paid, for example, the mayor of Brampton, then you find people say, "Oh, is that right?" Would they say that if it was a man?
I think it was a man. Yeah.
So there's a different interpretation by some. If you're a woman, they have this expectation that you should be doing things differently.
Yes.
You can't do things differently. To be successful, you need to drive for success in whatever that career path is that you choose. And if you're going to start to compromise what you do because you don't offend or catch some criticism, I say be bold.
Yes.
Reach out and achieve what you want. Don't be guided by the people who would discourage you, who would detract away, who would take away, who are negative. You have to move away from negative people, whether they're men or women. Not everybody will be supportive. So you have to move towards the people who are.
Exactly.
And you can succeed. There are no barriers.
Absolutely. If I can also ask you, taking yourself outside, I know you'll be mayor, obviously, but taking yourself outside of that scope, just walking through, the streets of Brampton, and, you look at young women all over, the city, and whether they're entering the coffee shop, going to school, doing what they do for their daily activities. Do you see or notice any of like the expressions that they have on their face? Anything that, advice that you'd like to give to them?
You know, it really depends on the environment. We have a very active Mayor's Youth Team in Brampton, and these are very engaged students, 2 students representing every high school in Brampton. And watching the path of these young women, for example, what I see are women today, young girls, that are embracing life.
Right.
Because their mothers maybe are more modern and they're saying, you go out there, you go girl,
Yeah.
you make it happen. So it's not uncommon for me, through the Mayor's Youth Team, for example, to encounter women who are excelling in their studies. They're a top Ontario scholar.
Yes.
And then you go to a social event and find out they're also doing ballroom dancing, they're doing something on the computer, they're doing rugby, they're
Or a
doing
lot of
wrestling.
extracurricular activities.
They're playing musical instruments. The same person's doing all of those things because we've opened the tap for women. There's no barrier. There's no, okay, that's enough now. You've done enough. You should just be happy with what you have. Women have ripped it wide open now. You can do it all, and you can keep going and do even more.
Yes.
Just fit in enough sleep, eat healthy. But that's the transition I'm seeing. And when I see young women with that sort of despondent look, it hurts. I want to reach out and shake them and say, what are you doing? This is your life. Every hour is an hour you can't get back. How are you making it count for you? And some people don't have, and this is the same whether it's a young boy or a young girl. Some people just haven't yet found the courage to be all that they can be.
Right.
And we have to be watching for these people because everyone has a contribution to make. Everyone has a fire in their belly to do something
You just
unique.
have to find it
And we
and
have
then
to
go
help
for it.
pull it out, and we have to help nurture that, and we have to help that person succeed. I'm always interested when I'm invited to go and talk in high schools or elementary schools or with Girl Guides, just to come in, because I realize as the mayor of a big city, you become a role model to other people. You're evidence that you can get there from here.
Yes.
And we say in Brampton, you can get there from here, whether you want to carry an Olympic gold medal and play hockey, which Jana Hefford and Jillian Apps just won in Sochi. Jana for the 5th time Olympic medals, or whether you're wanting to exceed in the private sector, the political sector, you can succeed, but you need to believe in yourself and you need to be open and let others in. Some people are a little frightened, but as you grow up, you have to have the courage to do it. Nobody's going to hurt you in Brampton. We're only going to help you.
Exactly. And you know what, Mayor Fennell, thank you so much for those inspiring words, because I think that's so important, for women out there today to really feel empowered and to really understand, where do I need to be in order to make a change for tomorrow. So thank you so much for those inspiring words, because it's very important.
If anyone wants to contact the mayor directly, I answer all my own emails, Facebook, Twitter, @Mayor Fennell, and I really enjoy the interaction.
I know, you're very interactive, especially on Twitter.
I don't need a lot of sleep, apparently.
You look fantastic. So thank you so much for being here. And just as a token of our appreciation for you to come in, and I know it's crazy outside with the weather, we've actually, TV1 Canada, as well as Crispy, is offering this basket for you. So you'll be taking that home.
Well, thank you very much. And I should remind you that on Saturday for International Women's Day, our new pro basketball team, the Brampton A's, have decided in celebration of women, all women will have free admission to the game. So little girls, big girls, granny girls. It's going to be the girls' game. Now, for the fellas that want to come, they have to pay, but
the
they
admission.
do get free parking.
Yes,
so it's not
that
so
always
bad.
works out in balancing it all.
It's fantastic basketball. We're in playoffs. It's very exciting, and it's a great game. So Saturday at the Powerade Center, this Saturday, it will be for International Women's Day. Girls can come free, and on Sunday, for those people who want to assemble, I think it's around 3:30. We're gathering at Gage Park, and we're going to march up the sidewalk in an orderly way, obey the traffic signals, to the front steps of City Hall and inside where it's warm. And there'll be some speeches, and it's just a celebration of women. So that's another event for International Women's Day.
So I'll be sure to be there. So thank you so much, Mayor Fennell.
Thank you.
I also want to thank the women that also came on to the show earlier, as well as you, the audience, for watching in tuning into this really wonderful segment on empowering women for International Women's Day special. So thank you again. And thank you for all those that are watching from the studio. I know, from Crispy. So from the studio right here of TV1 Canada, as well as Crispy, that has offered a lot of these gift baskets to our women today. Thank you and have a good night. I'm your host, Barbara Hazel Tabuno.